She is going to tell us about fostering dreams, because we know it's about fostering a child's heart, mind, spirit, and dreams. So I just want to encourage you to take a moment, make sure you can really take in what Brittney is going to say. This is a woman, I tell you this, a woman on the move. So for you to have this moment in time with her, where you are getting this for free, I guarantee you there's going to come a time where you will not be able to access her for free like this. So I just want you to know that this is a moment in time to really get to connect with this dynamic, powerful individual. So Brittney, I'm going to let you take it away. Thank you so much. And we're just ready to hear and listen for you. So Taylor, if you can spotlight Brittney.
Thank you, Ms. McKee, for that introduction. That was amazing. That was beautiful. Hi, guys. I am Brittney Sherell Hill, author and founder of A Suitcase and a Dream. I know Ms. Nakia just said that, but I had to reintroduce myself. I am so excited and honored to be here and just to be among just some amazing people. I won't be before you long, but I just want to have a conversation. Let's just talk about foster care and dreams and just what it means. I am originally from Michigan. I was born in Flint, raised in Port Huron, Michigan, and I spent a total of 10 years in foster care. I am one of 4 siblings, so it's a total of 5. 4 of the girls, all of us went into the system over 16, 17 years ago. And we went in, we were split up the next day. That's just something that happens in the foster care system. And I believe that my dreams started when I entered into the system. One of the things that happens in foster care when you go in, you get labeled, if I can say that. You already come from a traumatic experience or background, and when you go into the system or foster care, let me not say system, but when you go into foster care, there's things that happen. You meet people, you become family with strangers. But one of the things that developed for me was my dreams. If I can fast forward, I was in a group home and I thought that was home. I got comfortable and I was excited, like, yeah, I can do this. I'm not doing foster care. And I sat in the office with a therapist and said, I wanted to write a book, y'all. And I did that. I believe that's when my dreams were birthed. Anything that I wanted to do, I wasn't going to let the foster care system make me a victim or a statistic. That's just not something that just wasn't part of my journey. Going through the system, the 10 years, I saw a lot, and I saw that older kids, 13 and up, or once you hit those double digits, it's just hard to find a home that fits or suits your needs. You're this teen, and people believe that you're set in your ways, but I'm here to tell you that when you take in a teen or an older child, you're not only fostering the child, but you're fostering the heart, you're fostering the mind, you're fostering the spirit, and you're fostering the dreams, because you don't know who's coming into your house. You don't know who that person may become down the road. I'm a witness to that. I may not be the president or Steve Jobs, but I am my own person that has been following my dreams and becoming an author and a speaker, because I'm doing it now. It's something that I've been wanting to do is just talk and just have a conversation about what goes on, in foster care and the things that happens, when you don't speak up. Another thing is, be your own advocate. We're our best advocates when we speak up for ourselves and we believe in things that go on, or things that we see that we don't agree with. No one can advocate better for us than us, if that makes sense. I just want to say that anybody that's thinking about fostering, go for those older kids. They need love just like those younger kids, if not more. Having older kids could be the best experience. I think I got to my 7th and last home, I was 15, and my last foster parents, they took a chance and they fostered everything that they fostered all of me, not just because I was in foster care and it was a job, but they fostered my mind. They made sure I had what I needed to go on or to do life after foster care. They made sure that they fostered my heart. They made sure that there was love, in and outside of foster care. They provided a place for me to come to when foster care was over, if we can say that. Um, and the dreams that I had, from wanting to write a book and even wanting to share my poetry with them. They fostered it all. One of the things I learned, you can't foster in fear. When you do it, you stepping into a lot. You stepping into all kinds of things. And I don't know if you're fully prepared, but when you get into it, you just do it, and your heart has to be in it. That's one of the things that I've learned, that I've seen, and even doing it now, with having a young lady here in my home. I'm doing it off of experience and what I believe should be taught, in a home. Just letting her know that whatever it is that you want to do, you do it. One of the things that I've learned, that foster care isn't your only story. Whether you are in the system or you are deciding to be a foster parent or a respite, that isn't your only story. And you think about those children that come through your home, and those that see, you know, what they can be. They see what they can do. You speak life into these kids, because if you think about it, a lot of them come from horrible situations and coming into a new environment where they don't know anybody, having to make new friends, and it can be a lot. But when you create an environment for that child in your home, where they feel loved and they feel the peace, and they can sleep, it makes both of your experiences more bearable, if that makes sense. Um, I, um, like I said earlier, I do this nerves, y'all. I'm a twin. I have an identical twin and two other sisters, and you know, we were split up. Two were adopted. My twin was adopted. And if we can talk about siblings that enter care and the effects that they feel when they get older, I don't think people realize how, when those siblings go into the system, that's all they have. Oftentimes we hear stories about how the siblings were split up and they don't know where they are, but I've been fortunate enough to keep in contact with mine. But I guess it was just a dream of mine to just have the connection and the relationship, and to be an advocate for myself, and to know to keep up, with where they are, if that makes sense. But if we can keep talking about dreams, going after it. That's not something, dreams aren't given to us by people, but it's something that's in our hearts. And I think that's when those foster parents come in with fostering those dreams, letting you know that you can do it, that you can be who you feel like you're called to be. If the universe calls you to be, a chef in a White House, if we can use that for example, or if, you feel like your dream is to be the next number one best-selling author, you can do that. And I do want to say this: A Suitcase and a Dream was birthed out of, can I say, pain and just my experience of going through the system and wanting to tell my story. I felt like I had something to say, and I wanted to be a voice for anybody coming up after me and anybody that may be still experiencing the system, and foster parents that may be hesitant about fostering. I say do it, and do it unafraid. Do it with joy in your heart, because when you do it that way, I feel like it's a smooth transition. um Man, fostering dreams, I just keep going back to it because you just don't know. You hear stories, and you hear people say things or what they believe. And when you get that child, you just have to love them, love everything about them, even when it don't feel right, even when it don't make sense, and you start to have those doubts. You still love them anyhow, and you still foster. You foster with love and peace, and for the right reasons. I can't express that enough. Um, hmm. Miss Nakia, I'm gonna bring it back to you.
Okay. Thank you, Brittney. You did such a wonderful job. Taylor, if you can spotlight the two of us, please. Taylor, if you can spotlight Brittney and I. It looks like I am the only one spotlighted right now. So Brittney, if you can turn your camera back on. And now we are going to have time for a Q&A. And so we have a few questions. But first, I just want to thank you, Brittney, for sharing and telling us, a little bit about your story and really about your book and fostering dreams. And so before we get into the Q&A, if we can just have you guys love on her in the chat section. We do have some questions that we're going through. We want to thank you for your vulnerability, Brittney. I just appreciate you, just really sharing and just kind of giving us a snapshot of your journey. And so one of the things you touched on, and I want to just talk about a bit, it looks like someone else hopped into the Zoom, Brittney, from your phone, maybe your camera. I don't know if they did it on purpose, but they're connecting to the audio. I don't know if you want to grab it real quick. It looks like someone used the link and they're entering to the chat and to our Zoom. Do you see, Brittney? It looks like it popped up.
No.
You want to turn your video off and it looks like they hung up. Okay, great. I don't know if maybe one of your, maybe someone else got the wrong link and they were using the host link. So we were able to troubleshoot it. Great. So one of the things, Brittney, you talked about was, and I'm glad we're having this time for Q&A, because sometimes we come to these events and we listen to former foster youth, but we don't really get a time to really engage. And so I want to have just a few minutes to do that. One of the things you said was for a foster parent, because we do have some foster parents on the call. Talk a little bit about, you said they need to foster, your foster parents fostered all of me. Can you talk a little bit more about what that means? So if someone is interested in being a foster parent, what does it mean to foster all of me? What does it mean when you say foster their dreams?
If I can use an example, I was 15 when I got to my foster parents, and this was sophomore year in high school. And I remember just feeling out of place. I'm in a new high school. I'm back in the same city, but it's a new high school. I just felt unwanted. I felt like an outcast, and I was talked about. And I remember going home and just getting in the bed and crying. Mind you, this is a foster home. And my foster parents, I remember them coming into the room to see what was wrong and to see if I was okay. And I just remember them speaking life and just reassuring me of who I was. It didn't feel like foster care. It was parents. It felt like two parents that literally loved me, that didn't sign up because it was foster care and it was something to do, but they fostered my mind. And when I say that, when I said they reassured me of who I was, I'm not just a kid that's in foster care, but I am this individual that's strong. I've been through some things, but I'm strong and I'm confident. And they made sure that they knew that I was this strong person that had gone through hell. That you're not foster care. You're not a foster child, but you're ours. You are our child. So to be reassured, that I'm not dumb. I'm not just this kid that's, belongs to the state, so they were able to change my mind and some of the things that I thought about myself, and when I say they fostered my spirit, they made sure that I did things, I was involved in things just to build me up, my heart. There was no, they made sure that there was love, so when I, met people or I got friends, they made sure that, okay, because you're in this system, that doesn't mean that you can't have this life. Of course, we got to get the permission. But when I say they did the work, they wasn't just foster parents, but they were my parents who, when I go home, I still go to them to Port Huron, to my foster parents. I still get to call them for whatever. But they didn't just foster, but they parented, if that's the correct term to use. And you don't see a lot of that, but they did. If we can say they understood the assignment, they did.
I think it's fair to say they understood the assignment. And it really has to look as a part, it's a commitment, right? And you're saying they parented. And so you said not every experience is like that, but you had that experience and it wasn't just foster, you were more. You didn't belong to the state. You belong to them, you belong to
Yes,
their family and their household. And that's
yes.
part of fostering the dreams and fostering hope, right? Because they gave you that. And
Hmm.
so, and it's such a beautiful thing. One of the things you talked about was you can't foster in fear. And
Yes.
and so talk about what that, because you're saying it from a child's point of view and you're encouraging like, hey, you can't do this in fear. And so let's talk about that a bit of what that looks like and really pushing past that fear.
Miss Nakia, because you don't know who's coming into your home. You don't know what they're bringing, what they're attached to. And if I'm speaking from experience, what's happening now, in our home. I don't know. And I can't do what I'm doing in fear because I don't know what's going to happen. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it unafraid, and I'm going to be unapologetic about it, because at the end of the day, it's not about us, but it's about these kids, these young adults, these youth that's coming into our homes. We are setting the tone for them. If we being real, we set the tone, because when they leave here, whether they going to work or going to school, we're their first example. When they wake up in the morning, when they come home from school, when they come home from work, we're that example. So if they see fear in us, what do you think they're feeling if
Mm-hmm.
they see that fear? So yes, if you got foster parents, if you have to feel like, if you have to feel broken in private, and then look at yourself in the mirror and speak life and know that you can go on just a little bit longer, then do it. But you don't want them to see you discombobulated in front of them. You have your moment in private, and then you call somebody if you need to, just to get that reassurance. But you're their hope, you're their peace, you're their love, you're their joy. We can't do what we're doing in fear. We can't.
One of the things I love about how you told your story, and I was so great, Brittney, is that you switched your narrative of your identity of you were foster for youth, but you're saying we as foster parents, and that's your new identity because
You
you
caught it.
shifted and you started your journey. And so I love how you shifted in that. And so now you're wearing a different hat of, no, this is what we need to do. We need to we have to take care of this, because
Yes.
you're not only advocating for, but you're doing the work. So do you want to just kind of share a bit about your own personal journey? That's very, very recent.
So, you know, my husband and I, we just felt compelled to take in not just a teen, but an 18-year-old that's transitioning out of foster care. We are, like I said, Miss Nakia, I don't just talk about foster care, but I'm living it. I'm living in the heart of it. Like, hey, it's time, but we're trying to, show her what life can look like after care, and how to prepare her, for real life. Because when life after foster care really hits, it hit hard. And I don't want her story to be my story. I came here, y'all, with a suitcase and dreams of living in Georgia. This is my 10th year in Atlanta, and I couch surfed for a good 5 to 6 years, just trying to find myself, trying to find who Brittney was. I know that foster care was my story, it was my past, but I wasn't going to allow it to be part of my future in a negative way. If I can um, make that clear. But it's been 3 weeks now that we have a young lady um, in our care, in our home, and we are trying to just speak life and just be that example. The first person she see when she closes her eyes. If I can say that she's had some of the best sleep since she's been here, and that's rare, because when you're going through the system or when you're transitioning, you don't know where your next home will be, or where you're asleep. So we've provided a space and a place for her to feel what she needs to feel. And when she done feeling it, she got that strength just to go on a little bit further. So we new in this, and anybody that have any advice, we're here for it, and we're open.
Well, I have a
But
question for you, Brittney. Speaking of advice, so one of the attendees asked a question, very similar to what you're going through and what you're just experiencing. She says, I am in my early 20s and would love to be a foster parent. Would you have respected a foster parent who would chronologically be more like a big sister? And so I thought that was a very fitting question for what you were just talking about.
oh, that's a good question for whoever asked that. So I just turned 30 in March, and a month after my 30th, we got our first foster, and we were trying to see, do we want to be the foster parents, or we'll just be that new auntie and uncle? We'll have that because we didn't want to say. I mean, because we're still young. And we just didn't want to do the foster parent thing. So, but 20s, you go for it. You do it. If that's what's in your heart and you feeling it, don't hesitate. You go for it. And 20 is not too young. Definitely. These young people, they look up to us. And nowadays we got some of that old time wisdom as well. So hey, we doing it at 30. So you can definitely do it in your 20s.
Thanks, Brittney. So one of the things you talked about earlier was you had to advocate for yourself, and you were glad that you did that because you were able to stay connected to your siblings. And so one of the questions we have from one of the participants or attendees, what efforts were made to keep you and your siblings together, and were relatives explored for you all?
Wow, that's good and tough. What was okay, X the last part. What measures were taken or what was done?
So let me go back to the question. Um, what efforts were made to keep you and your siblings together?
Well, I know I,
No, go ahead.
okay, there were some. So I won't tell it all, but you got to read the book. So the first night we all went into foster care. There wasn't room. So of course, my twin and I stayed together and the other two went elsewhere. About a year later, we got a call. A foster parent wanted all four of us. Okay. So there was a time that the four of us was together, but I believe that behavior became an issue in my case, that I was removed and the adoption went through with the other two siblings. So there was some efforts made, but um yeah, two was adopted and two of us wasn't. So hey, it was different. This was the early 2000s. So um I didn't know anything about advocating then until I got to that group home. And made sure I had my social worker's email and phone number. And I did get to attend public school in the group home. So when I got to school, I emailed the caseworker because I wanted to know what the judge was saying and if y'all found a home for me. I didn't want to wait for the therapist to tell me what a potential date was. I was in the heart of the communication. So yes, I was my advocate. And if I couldn't go back to that home where the siblings were adopted at, I wanted someone where I could be by myself, one-on-one, where I could get everything that I needed. And I got that in my seventh home.
Wow. Wow. Brittney, I just really appreciate you sharing your story and really just inspiring us to, answer the call to foster and to not be afraid and to foster, their dreams and minds. And for you, and you're 3 weeks in, you said, correct? So you're in it. And so I would love, maybe a few months from now, we get an update from you. We can just share because I know there's going to be more to come. And so before we wrap up our lunch and learn, I just wanted to know that if anyone has any other questions that I may have missed, please, yes, feel free, flood the comments with, applause and love on her. And so Brittney, please, if there's no additional questions, how can people get in touch with you? You've been talking about this book. You kind of teased it a bit, but you didn't get into it too much. So just tell us a little bit about the book and how they can find it and access you.
Okay. You guys can find me on Facebook, A Suitcase and a Dream Corporation, Brittney Sherell on Facebook. Instagram is Suitcase Dream Foster Care. I'm on LinkedIn, Brittney Sherell. My website is www.suitcasedreams.org. Y'all make sure y'all follow. Miss Nakia is also going to do, I'm donating 6 books. So Ms. Nakia is going to do a raffle or however, but I want to make sure y'all get a book and foster the older kids.
That is the call to action. And so we have some of our participants on here who are part of the Foster Kids Coalition who are advocating the same thing. So I love it. So before everyone leaves, we just want to do a really quick wrap up. Thank you so much for coming. We have free events the rest of the month. And so before you leave, I just want to go over them really quickly, pulling up my notes. So our next one is by our amazing Director of Care Coordination and Innovation at WMPC, and Ebony Fields. She is going to discuss representation and why it matters in foster care. And that will be May 18th from 12 to 1. So that's next Wednesday. And then May 25th, we will have the realities of foster care with Rachel Aday, and she's going to interview a current foster family in Grand Rapids. And then we're also going to have an in-person event. So all of you who are local, I want you to visit Wyoming High School Cafeteria Sunday, May 22nd. So there's no excuse because it's on a Sunday and it's from 4 to 6. It is Stand for Teens. It's former foster youth on a panel. They're talking about their experiences with their adoptive parents, and they're encouraging the community and a school administration to get involved in foster. So we have a lot of wonderful opportunities for you to get engaged and really support National Foster Care Awareness Month. So thank you for coming. We so appreciate you, Brittney. We will have a raffle. So stay close to your emails because we have those books. So stay close to your email so you can win her book. Thank you again and have a wonderful afternoon.